Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
And now, broadcasting live on GMN from an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert. Italian by birth, American by choice. Songwriter, poet, freedom activist, Lucas Zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid.
Hi everybody, this is Lucas Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Now, I say this every Sunday. The reason why I'm here, it is not to entertain you, not to give you some little bit of, happy time while you're driving or you're home, whatever. This is very serious matter for me. I'm here as a new American because I really believe that this was the country of the free. And don't get me wrong, I love this country. And I know that this country used to be the country of the free. Unfortunately, the last 100 years, it's been taken over. Okay, it has been taken over. And I tell you exactly when happened. 1913, okay, we had the first real official takeover of this country with the creation of the Federal Reserve Act. Now, it's tax time, okay? And my show, the only purpose I have is try to share information. I want you that you do your own verification, you do your researches, and at that point, that would be my goal, to try to give you information that normally no other radio show would like to talk about it. As a new American, I have an oath to fulfill, to defend this republic against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I really believe that these international bankers, cartel of bankers, and among those of course, the private Federal Reserve is one of our enemies. And I will prove my case today. I brought with you a special guest, somebody that knows pretty much what's going on and has been studying and proving and doing also is his career, try to defend you from the IRS and the income tax. So today I have with me a man that, like myself, wasn't born here. He came from another country, and he came also with the idea that this country, it is the law, the country of the free. But it is still, that's the story. We'll find out right now. And I have the honor to have with me Mr. Peymon Mottahedeh. Please, Peymon, correct my pronounce of your last name. I'm sure I killed it. Are you there, Peymon?
Yes, I am. That's okay. Peymon Mottahedeh, but I prefer people call me Peymon. It's a lot easier for them to say it, Luca. And thanks for having me on your program.
Thank you, Peymon. And Peymon, I was telling you before, I believe that things happen for a reason. I remember in 2005, I stumbled on this DVD called American From Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo. I'm sure you're familiar with that, right?
Yes, Aaron Russo was a friend of mine.
Exactly. And then, of course, I started to have a very terrible time. I didn't sleep for 3 nights after I watched that information because I did my homework, and I verified that information. That was all true. And I couldn't believe that right now in America, we are living under the illusion that we are a country pretty much supposed to be, upon the law. I mean, a country under the rule of law. Instead, there was the only law it comes down when there is the income tax is fear and the law of their brute force of the IRS. And there is not really a law. So after watching that documentary, I went to a meeting in Phoenix. There were different guests, among those also Joe Bannister, former IRS agent, and you were there. And you gave me an incredible package that I still have, and the information that for me was like life-changing information, okay? So I wanted to thank you for your work, for trying to educate the rest of us, and that's why today you're here, because I would like to pretty much give this opportunity to the listeners to have a different angle of the information. Premise, I'm not here to give any legal advice, and more important, I'm telling you, all I'm sharing with you today, it's an information that I pretty much would like consider just as information. It's up to you what you want to do with it. If you want to verify it, if you want to go deeper, and I'm not telling you that you're supposed not to pay the income tax, because even if there is no law, at that point, it's your pretty much decision if you want to go against these mobsters. They are worse than mobsters. The mobsters, I think they have more class. Anyway, Peymon, you have the floor. Who is Peymon, and exactly what is the president, excuse me, what is the school, the Freedom Law School that you represent? You are the president of the school. Tell me a little bit about you, your professional background, and your school.
Sure, Luca. I'm an immigrant from Iran, raised in a Jewish family. I came here at the age of 14 in 1977. And I believe in thinking that I came to land of the free and home of the brave. And unfortunately, I found myself in the land of the meek and the home of the indentured. Americans don't seem to know what's going on. In Iran, the Shah of Iran was a king, was a dictator, and he censored the news media, so you could not hear the truth. And of course, he owned the political system and the power. So with the combination of having the political power and control of the media, he practically controlled the people. And so I found that in America, unfortunately, it's the same thing. We have here the big banks and corporations, namely the top 5 are Chase, Bank of America, Citi, Goldman Sachs, and Wells Fargo. Those big 5 are the prime owners of the New York Federal Reserve Bank, the privately owned Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the main of the Federal Reserve banks. And they make money out of thin air, these New York banks and Wall Street, and lend it out to government and to the people, to the corporations at interest. It's like a monopoly game that they are you could say the banks are the exclusive creators of the money and lend it out to everybody at interest. And with that process of sucking the interest out of us, they're sucking the wealth of America. They're becoming richer. We're becoming continually poorer and poorer. And the Federal Reserve the money issue is a bigger issue, but the income tax is a symptom of it. In that this key aspect of the Communist Manifesto, which is part of the 10 planks of Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto, has been in America since 1913 as well.
Exactly.
And my own brother, who went to Communist China about 5 years ago, married a Chinese, lives there, he makes, as a foreigner, wages there, and he pays 0 income taxes in China.
Wow.
So they call themselves communists, but they don't seem to be communists, and we seem to be the real communists here, because in America we've adopted the idea that the community, the society, the government must provide for everybody. You got socialism, you got communism. Of course, we have a communism for the rich. The banksters, they're the ones that get bailed out. It was the big banks that got bailed out, when the Great Depression started in 2008. And so I heard the income tax is voluntary, and I just couldn't believe that. Well, if that's voluntary, why are people volunteering? Mm-hmm. Well, after having been proven to me by a law that truly there is no law that requires the average ordinary American to file and pay the federal income tax, then a few years later I discovered that the reason is because the government is corrupt at all 3 levels, including the judiciary.
Yes.
They don't want to upset the apple cart. We know in Iran we had these corrupt political courts who would not uphold the Iranian constitution and laws and would go with the political establishment of Shah of Iran to just get rid of people that they didn't like. In America, the judges are supposed to be the last bulwark of against tyranny. In a separation of powers doctrine, that there's supposed to be a veto upon the other 2 branches, encroachment on our rights, but they're not doing that job, unfortunately. The judges are themselves political creatures who, in order to get further up the political power chain of judgeship, all up to Supreme Court, they must go along and get along and not upset the apple cart of the money revenue source of the United States government. So there exists a judicial conspiracy to protect and preserve the money system of this country, the Federal Reserve, the new corrupt system, and the new corrupt income tax system as well, because those are 2 pillars of the power structure that is out there. So that's what I've been exposing now since 1992.
Now, question, Peymon. First of all, I would like to give this, let's say the average listener listening to me probably already knows a lot, but I would like to reach out people that they're new, okay? People that they for the first time say, "What are you talking about? You are not a patriot. You are not a good American. You don't want to give your fair share." Wait a second, guys. Please stop for a moment. Have an open mind. We'll bring you facts right now, and then we'll go from there, and then you decide what you want. Let's start from history. Before 1913, Peymon, what really was going on in America? Did we have an income tax or not? I mean, the point is, what exactly does this income tax? Does goes to any type of service or goes to pay just the debt to this private cartel of banks called the Federal Reserve?
Well, the income tax goes to the general fund of the U.S. Treasury and pays for everything. Wars, corporate welfare bailouts, Social Security, interest on the debt, to Federal Reserve and others. So the money does go in the general fund. That's not the issue. The issue is that the whole system is a fraud. Let me tell you about the income tax, for example, because people right now are wondering, are they required to file an income tax? Well, I ask people to get I want your listeners to go get the last year's 1040 income tax IRS confession form that they filed and go look at the 1040 form they signed. They will notice that above where they signed their name and date, it says that I declare, I mean the people who sign it, the listeners, each one of them, sign a piece of paper that they said, I declare under penalty of perjury that all the statements in this form are true, correct, and complete. Now people say, well, so what's the big deal about that? I didn't lie. Well, of course, no one says anybody lies, but people don't know what the word penalty of perjury means because they're not go to law school. Well, penalty of perjury means you're swearing to that piece of paper, same as if you were in a court of law before a judge and a jury. You're swearing that's all true, correct, and complete, and you can go to prison, you can be jailed, if everything is not completely true or correct or complete. You missed a little something, you can go to prison for it. One little mistake, you can go to prison for it. If you make one claim of exemption or deduction or expense that you can prove, the government can say you made it up, you lied. You cannot prove that expense or deduction was correct because you don't have the records that you should have had, and therefore you must be lying, and there you go to jail.
Yes.
People don't realize that's what they're doing, and they can go to jail for 3 to 5 years for each tax return.
Wow.
That they have this kind of a mistake on. 3 to 5 years each. In other words, if the IRS doesn't come after people usually for 1 year of mistake, they usually come after people for 3 to 5 years of same kind of mistake to show a pattern that you've done the same thing repeatedly.
Yes.
So if you're looking at 4 years, you're looking at maybe going to jail about maybe 20 years, up to 20 years of prison.
Wow.
You know, because some little mistake. And it's not the accountant that's going to go to jail. It's not the CPA who advised you. It's not H on our blog who prepared that return for you, or even the TurboTax, whatever computer software that you use. It's not them that's going to go to prison. You are.
Now, I have a question. I'm still learning, of course. First of all, I like to give the basic logic, okay? 1913, President Wilson pretty much sold us out in the middle of the Christmas night with pretty much an absent Congress that was pretty much all gone on vacation for the holidays, to this private cartel, creating this Federal Reserve that is federal as express. This is not a federal part of the government; it's completely private, even maybe federalized or whatever. But the point is, not even in the yellow pages does even go under the government. Okay. Now, from that moment, to keep it simple, okay, this is just my basic former immigrant explanation. Okay. Every time the government needs the dollar, instead them printing it on as a sovereign government, okay, let's say America used to print their own money backed by gold and silver, okay. Now instead we go to this cartel of bankers and we put ourselves on our knees, say please print a dollar. By the way, right now it's not even anymore printed, it is pretty much all digital, as you said, out of thin air, with no backing of gold or silver or nothing. And at that point they give us this check And then we gotta pay them back with the interest, just because now they are pretty much like gods. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that right?
You said correct.
Okay.
You're absolutely right about every statement you said.
Now, guys, listeners, even if you think, that this income tax is going to some good service and we need to pay our fair share, let's say for a moment you have that type of mentality, okay, that's fine. Why do we need to pay a third party, a bunch of bankers that they're laughing at us, and they took over this government and given that type of sovereign power to print money out of thin air and then charge us the interest? Why don't we do it this as America ourselves? So maybe we don't need to pay all this interest, because now every time we borrow $1, it's $1 of debt. It's impossible pretty much to win that situation. It's going to always be on debt. So that's the first thing I would like to start to share with people. The Federal Reserve is not federal, it's private, okay? And every time we used to go back to them, we pretty much go in bondage. Now, there was a commission, 1984, it's called the Grace Commission report under Ronald Reagan, okay? This commission, correct me if I'm wrong, because I may be wrong, but I'm just reading the official commission here, showed that the IRS, pretty much every dollar that we pay from our income tax, yes, it goes to the general fund, as you were saying. But the point is, all it does, our income tax, goes to pay the interest on the debt. And that pretty much there is all the waste and dispersion, and nothing really goes to the services. Am I right or wrong? This was a commission under Ronald Reagan, that pretty much the Grace Commission. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the Grace Commission, what he found out is that the interest on the debt was so large, just interest that we're paying is so large that it equals approximately all the income taxes collections. That's how large interest on the debt was. Mm-hmm. So, and right now interest rates are extremely low, and yet still the interest payments on the debt is over $400 billion a year, and at these record low interest rates.
Oh my
if interest rates go up higher, because the dollar starts losing its value, and it is going to lose its value, it's only a matter of time, it will lose its reserve currency status. That means that the dollar is just going to lose value very rapidly. Interest rates will go up in America. There will bring a lot more unemployment in America. At the same time, we have inflation. Imported goods from China, other places at Walmart will cost a lot more. So people need to realize that our situation is serious, and we got to do something about it as soon as possible.
Now, here you come. You woke up. You were like myself, a former immigrant. We had, the courage to at least look at the truth, because I understand, coming from outside, we come with the idea that, we really came here with thinking that we were free, and don't get me wrong, I know that this country was the freest place more than any other country in the world. But unfortunately, we lost that freedom, and now we're living in the illusions of the past. So it's our duty to try to get it back and fight it back. Now, exactly what do you offer as a president of Freedom Law School? What do you do exactly? What do you do for people? What is your service that you offer?
Well, what I started in 1996, after a couple of years of teaching to my local group with a couple of the people, a little bit we knew about the Constitution and the law and our rights, and income tax. I kept these classes going, and in 1996, I formally started Freedom Law School. Our website is livefreenow.org. And I dedicated the school to those people who are committed to living a free life and to help the American people free themselves of this modern-day slavery that we've been put into. So what I started doing is first start teaching Americans about the law and the rights, because they need to know what's going on. And I always tell everybody, tell all your listeners, do not believe me, do not believe the government, or believe anybody on the internet. I always invite people to look up and verify things for themselves on the internet. So the courses I offer come with a money-back guarantee, because this is what they should have had. Everybody coming out of high school before their turn 18 as an adult, facing the world. So, but after doing that for many years, people increasingly asking me, hey, Peymon, I need help. I need to get this government IRS off of my bank. Could you assist me? Could you help me? Because they're just really hurting me. So in 2001, I started programs that included education, but I also provided assistance, support, consultation, and I helped them write the letters for them, the responses to government letters. as well as getting more involved into political action to write to our representatives in government to properly execute the Constitution and stop this illegal application of the income tax on the average ordinary Americans.
Now, did you have your personal, I'd like to ask you something more direct. How is your relationship with the IRS? Did you get harassed? These people, they got you on the list. I mean, this is not something that you play with like you think you have no consequences. For example, do you file your 1040, if I can ask you?
I don't, in my life, I've never filed a 1040 income tax confession form, except with my ex-wife back in the 80s twice. I filed on her return. She said for her to get more refund back. And then one time we got audited, and which was totally fraudulent. I provided all the documentation. The IRS still came up with some numbers against me because they could. And the other time she got the levy on a paycheck out of nowhere. IRS teacher up her paycheck out of nowhere.
Wow.
That was the consequence of me filing with her. And then I'll file one more time back in 1993, filed some an uninformed patriot's advice to file 1040, and I did. And that got me in trouble with the IRS also. So I haven't filed since then. Of course, IRS doesn't like that. I talk about this stuff publicly. And I'm on their hit list.
Wow.
Been at it since 1993. I've been on IRS's hit list, over 20 years. And as of 3 years ago, they told me that they have over 8,000 pages of files on me.
Wow.
Like a communist dossier of communist KGB in a former Soviet Union, you would think.
Now, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now, question, are you a lawyer? What exactly your degree? I mean, the service that you offer, you're a consultant? Are you a lawyer? Are you a professor? What exactly are you?
Well, I'm not a member of the bar. I'm not an attorney.
Okay.
I got my bachelor's degree in business administration from the California State University.
Okay.
And then when I got interested in all this law stuff in 1992, and I didn't want to borrow from the government or banks to go to school. And my father wasn't doing well anymore, unfortunately. He was hurt financially after the Iranian Revolution. And I just wanted to go into debt to the government, so I just taught myself the law. I did not go to formal law school, but learn about law. And within less than a year, an attorney friend of mine, a libertarian attorney, and a friend of mine who's a libertarian and finished law school, they both told me, Peymon, you seem to know already more about the income tax, these issues, that we know.
Okay, perfect. So
I was quite amazed that how it is that these lawyers in America are taught so little about the Constitution and our rights in our law schools. That's what totally amazed me.
I'm not an expert. I used to study in Italy to become a lawyer. I stopped when I decided to leave, pretty much to come here. All I know that not because you have a law degree that means that you know the law. I mean, especially when you are part of the board, you will conform with pretty much what the system says. And if you really want to learn laws, and laws that normally they don't even apply anymore under the Constitution, you must pretty much do your own homework like you've been doing. The reason why I'm asking you this one, because, this show, first of all, we're not giving any type of legal advices. We're just sharing information. That's the bottom line. But I wanted to also, let people know more about your past, exactly how you created your knowledge. That's my goal. Now, question is, what happens, what is your opinion? Let's put it this way, since we're not giving advices, if the average American out there say, listen, what should I do? I mean, I know that this income tax supposedly is a fraud. But first of all, why is it a fraud? How can we prove that? How can we prove that the income tax is a fraud? I mean, I know that there is a lot of information that probably 1 hour is not enough, but what in few, let's say a few minutes, if you want to make your case in front of the jury of the people, how can we prove that the income tax is a fraud? So people say, maybe I shouldn't pay the income tax.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's very simple. Since 1999, I've offered a $300,000 income tax reward and 3 $100,000 questions. And I've had many IRS meetings about me in Freedom Law School to spy on me, to try to get me, and they know about this reward. They never attempted to collect it. I've had up to 8 Irish agents, the managers, and lawyers, and a lawyer's manager get together to conspire against Freedom Law School. Yet none of them attempts to claim any of this reward. Here's the first one. The first one is, how can you file a 1040 income tax confession form without you giving up your Fifth Amendment guaranteed constitutional right not to have the government use it against you to put you in prison? Because you see, if O.J. Simpson and all the suspected murderers, they have a right to be silent and don't say anything that could be used against them, why don't you? As a citizen, you have the same right when it comes to paying taxes. You shouldn't have to say anything at all whatsoever. You can remain silent. But the fact that you're being forced to file a 1040 form, to give up your Fifth Amendment, tells you right there that you cannot be forced, because you're not forced. They're just duping you into filling out the form, because they could not do so without filing your Fifth Amendment guaranteed right to be silent, like O.J. Simpson has.
Exactly.
So that's one.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you look on the 1040 income tax booklet that people sign, they'll see there's the Privacy Act notice. They give these people the warning that the government says on the 1040 form, that the information you give to them, the IRS may share with local, state government authorities, and even foreign governments. Because you gave it to government voluntarily, now they may share it, the IRS, may share it with foreign governments and local and state authorities. See? Because you give it to them voluntarily.
Yes. Now, the point...
Second,
go ahead.
And the IRS knows about this.
Yes.
And I said, look, tell me how I can file a 1040 without giving my Fifth Amendment right to be silent, and no government lawyer, employee who's seen my website, many of them have seen it, and spied on me, none of them comes and show me the answer. Why not?
Wow. The point is, you're completely right, and the logic is there. I mean, we have a Fifth Amendment or not. But then, I know that there are people that pretty much went to jail because all you have to go to the wrong judge, as you were saying before. The system is corrupted. I mean, there was Wesley Sniper, I think. Did he go to jail for not filing, or did he file?
He did go for a few years because he followed the misadvice of a guy named Eddie Kane, who had him put some false papers with the government. He tried to get some money back from the IRS, but finally got under oath. Papers were just wrong. That's why he went to jail. He sent paperwork under oath to the government that they used against him. That was how they came after him.
Okay. Now, among your cases, you have a lot of people that you've been helping during the years. And correct me if I'm wrong, one of your cases, one of your students, I guess, was a former IRS agent that pretty much became almost the poster child to expose the IRS crimes. His name is Joe Bannister. Am I correct?
Yes.
Can you pretty much tell a little bit about his story briefly? Because I think this is important. This guy is not just a regular guy. This guy used to work for the devil. So tell a little bit what happened to him.
Well, Joe Bannister, he's a IRS criminal investigation division agent back in the mid to late 1970s, and then he hears on a radio program that income tax is voluntary. Well, this guy's given a gun. He's packing heat, to arrest people. And he puts several people in jail over taxes. He's thinking, well, if there's no law requiring people to file income tax, why would they give me a gun? Why do I do what I do? It's just preposterous. But because the radio show host that he was hearing in San Francisco Bay Area was he very much respected, he looked into the information, called the guest, and got the educational material of the guest. And a booklet, it referred to a man named Bill Conklin, who he called, and Bill Conklin told him to call me. And when he called me, I told him, look, I'll verify everything for you. You verify everything for yourself. I give you all the cooperation. You check it out for yourself. And he did.
Wow.
This man, a former IRS special agent, checked out everything we told him. The leaders of the freedom movement told him. He found out we told him the truth. And then what he did, he wrote a book about the subject and gave it to the IRS. The book is called Investigating the Federal Income Tax, and asked the IRS to refuse findings, to refute this conclusion that there is no law requiring the average person to file and pay the federal income tax. And he gave that book to his manager, the head of the Criminal Investigation Division of the IRS's office in San Jose, California, who sent out to Washington, D.C. And he went to the headquarters of the Criminal Investigation Division section of the IRS. And when the response came back, Mr. Joe Bannister's manager told him, I was told to give this to you. Here, say this. He was directed from the headquarters of Washington, D.C. of the IRS, which basically said, we're not going to respond to your request, your demand, that we show that your book is wrong, how and what the average American is required to file income tax. Okay, and you're given a week off to think about it. And if you don't want it, you don't like it, you can just leave. Get out of here.
Wow.
Get out of the IRS. Here, Mr. Joe Bannister thought that he's supposed to report fraud. He's supposed to report abuse of power. Things that are being done wrong. This, he was told by the Commissioner of Internal Revenue himself, about their own regulations, about their own procedures. And he was doing exactly that. I thought, hey, the law has been misapplied, yet he's told us to leave. We're not going to answer you. So he resigned.
Wow.
And then the IRS, several years later, after Mr. Joe Bannister, he stopped filing and paying income tax himself. They tried to put him in jail.
Yeah.
And the Commissioner of Internal Revenue, when they spoke about him publicly and said Joe Bannister was the IRS agent, he knew what he was doing. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
The IRS never charged Mr. Joe Bannister with a so-called crime of not having filed and pay their federal income tax.
Wow.
Because they knew he would have shown the jury that, look, I was one of them. I asked the government, I demanded that they show me the law that required me and the average American to file an income tax. I was asked to leave. And the jury would say, well, how come the government didn't come show the employee whose job is to put people in jail over income taxes, the law he's supposedly enforcing?
Wow.
They never did so. They never charged him with that crime. Of course, the other bogus tax charges that came after him, he was acquitted of. He was found not guilty. He found innocent by the jury. And so this goes to show, folks, this government is out of control. We no longer have in America a government by, of, and for we the people, as the U.S. Constitution says. We have a government of, by, and for the big banks and corporations who fund the election advertising campaign of politicians, especially the leadership of both parties, as well as in all the major media in this country. They own it. ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, Fox, New York Times, all the major magazines and newspapers in America are owned by the same group of people. No different than Shah of Iran, no different than communist Soviet under Joseph Stalin, where they control the media and they control the political system. We're in the same boat. The difference is we still have the right of free speech on radio programs like yours, and it's our job, Luca, it's my job, your job, to expose all this. Wake up the American people to get our country back. It smells. You know it smells. You know something is wrong. We got to get them off. So I invited all of them to go to our website at livefreenow.org. Check out this information. And if they request it, we'd be happy to send them a free freedom, information, education package. As many as they want for themselves, their friends, family members, neighbors, co-workers. Get this information out. Let's get America educated, awakened, and get our country back to we the people once again.
Very good, very well said. This is so important. You said exactly right. We are living right now in a false illusion of freedom. And there was, I think, a German writer, Goethe, that said, none are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. We think we are free, but the truth is, guys, after we realize that we're living under National Defense Authorization Act, and when you'll find out, and I really challenge you to do this research and prove me wrong, get the package from my friend here, and also watch the video that I told you many times, that this documentary, Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo, and do your researches. And when you realize that all these years, we've been paying income tax, and when you find out there is no law, and the only law is because we've been said so, we've been told so, and more important, we are afraid. That's the bottom line. You will realize that at that point you have two options. One, just to ignore it because you're too afraid to face the truth. And I understand many of you say, what am I going to do now? You say probably you were just trying to ignore it. And maybe you will try also to fight us just because we are trying to bring you to the facts. And the other way may be, you know what, you got to do your duty as an American, understanding that this republic is being taken over by globalist international bankers, and that 1913 is a historical date of the takeover of this country when the private Federal Reserve took control of issuing the currency of America. And then together we can start to share this information and take it back through the political process. And meanwhile, try to defend our assets and our lives with people like Peymon that can help us out, try to give us some help. Now, Peymon, I'm still under shock a little bit, by the way, because, every time I talk about this, it's kind of remind me what happened to my mind in 2005 when I started to learn all this for the first time, Now, what exactly, if somebody wants to contact you, you said a website. Do you have also a phone number? People can reach you out to your office?
They can call us at area code 813-444-4800 or go to our website at livefreenow.org. Make their request that way. But I want to say something important about your callers. You said, many of your callers are probably afraid. They want to say, ooh, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to make waves.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? The very fact, listener, that you are afraid, you just admitted that we no longer have a government by, of, and for we the people. You just admitted by your fear that the government has been hijacked and taken over by these big, powerful bankers and their moneyed interests.
Yes.
So that there's more reason why you should act. You should do something. You know it. Your conscience know it. How can you sit there, listen to this information, and do nothing? How can you listen to this information, don't say nothing about it to your wife, to your husband, to your brothers, sisters, and more importantly, to your children? How can you sell your children down the river just because you have some fear you will not use your First Amendment about our free speech, and you not will tell nobody about it? At the very least, get this information and share it with other people. Let the truth be said. They cannot put you in jail for merely sharing educational information. Okay? Get this speech with Joe Barrister, this former IRS agent on IRS, on CD. We're sending you for free. And get it out to your children. Get it out to anybody. Hey, just listen and educate. You have to do nothing. At the minimum, just listen and educate others. How can you not do that part? Because if you don't, you are becoming a tool of the big banks and corporations who take over America by simply doing nothing. You let them win. So do what you want and need to do. Call Freedom Law School. Get this free Freedom of Information education package and share it with as many people as you can.
Perfect. And if you have any video that you would like me to upload, what I will do on today's show on my website, lovegunsfreedom.com, on today's show, I will post a permanent link, first of all, to your website. And more important, if you have any video that could be, we can upload on YouTube or whatever, I can put a link so everybody can start to do your own research. As I said, guys, this is not something I'm going to give you advices. I'm not here to advise anything. I just want to share information that normally you would never be able to do, to find on the regular station or maybe on the radio stations. Now, why am I doing this? Because I really believe that we are living in the illusion that we are free. And more important, it's my duty as the new America to defend this republic. This republic pretty much is being killed. It's dying right now. And we're living in the illusion of that is still the land of the free. It is not. My friend, you came from an oppressive government, like even my family, during World War II under Mussolini and the Germans and all the stuff. I mean, it's hard for Americans to believe that this is happening here, but it is really happening. And more important, I wish it wasn't true. But at that point, I would like to remind everybody, the National Defense Authorization Act. Peymon, are you familiar with that?
Absolutely. The passes law that the government can label anybody basically a terrorist, and based upon them doing so, they can, after labeling you as such, go and pick you up, arrest you without notifying your friends or family members, put you in jail without a lawyer, without seeing a judge, indefinitely.
Yes.
Because some government official labeled you as a terrorist, basically. I mean, that is in a complete violation of everything American. And worse than that, I think, that, Obama has given himself the power. He did this a few years ago. He murdered. He actually openly admitted he murdered, assassinated American citizens abroad who were simply speaking up against U.S. government policies because he labeled them as terrorists. Well, that's like Joseph Stalin,
yes,
the communist Soviet Union. They're doing it now, and NSA has surveillance powers, better than any KGB in Soviet Union or East German Nazi ever dreamed of. With all your calls, internet, everything is recorded, and they can, do against you, use against you. Now, if that's not the ultimate police state dictatorship, what is?
Exactly, and this is prove exactly the point. That's why I think it's so important. Now it's put all in perspective. Now every one of us, just because we are exercising our First Amendment, and more important, we are bringing facts and evidence. We're not even just saying whatever, but still we have a First Amendment. We could be labeled domestic terrorist, and at that point, we could just disappear. This is exactly like it happened in every dictatorship. Mussolini, the black shirts, Hitler, the brown shirts, in Chile, Pinochet, and you had, in Iran, you had the secret police from the Shah. I mean, exactly right now here. Why don't you want to face it, America? Why don't you want to admit it? This is real. Now, just because it's not happening to you, you think you have nothing to fear because you think you're a good person. Doesn't matter. First of all, can happen to any one of us. And more important, now we are before pre-Magna Carta. Think about it. The king in 1215 said, before I can put you in jail or I can arrest you or kill you, I need to prove that you've done something wrong. You must have a due process. Now we are before that age. We are back into the dark ages. Not even China, I think, has that. At least they give you a phony trial and they shoot you in the back. You do not disappear completely. Anyway, so that's pretty much my point. And now, income tax, yes, is something we need to pretty much talk about it, and we need to learn. And the Federal Reserve must be exposed, because it's not federal at all. And guys, let's not forget the basics. Before 1913, we had roads, we had the army, we had everything we needed, and we were prosperous, and we were not in debt. What happened after 1913? We got pretty much conquered by this cartel of international bankers. I want to thank you again, Peymon. You've been inspiring for me. Your magic package that you gave me the day when I met you in Phoenix in 2006, I guess was, at that meeting. I brought it with me. I studied more, and I say something. I try to share this information with as much people as I can. That's why today I was thinking about you. Since I have this radio station, I wanted to do what I could to give the people the opportunity to reach you out. I'll give you the floor for the last 3 minutes, whatever you want to say.
Well, what I want to say is that, Luca, we don't have to worry about telling people we're not giving them legal advice. Folks, what I'm telling you is, in my opinion, the truth. Okay? But I'll tell you this. You need to check out the ideas for yourself anyhow. Again, don't believe me, the government, or anybody on the internet. You read for yourself. And that's the problem. A lot of Americans don't like to read, don't read, or semi-illiterate. And the elitists The banksters that control America, they treat us, they think we're a bunch of cows, bunch of sheep who can't read or refuse to read. Folks, if you don't read, if we don't educate ourselves, how are we different from animals? Animals cannot read. Animals cannot know what's going around them. You are better than an animal. You can read. So my invitation to our listener is, take your time to show these banksters that you're not a sheeple. You're not just a cow. You can read, you can think, and then you can act based upon knowledge. So do it. Figure out law school as a source to get you the answers, the truth that you are looking for. Go to our website at livefreenow.org and make your free Freedom Information Education Package request there, and call us 8813-444-4800.
Perfect. I have a song I'm going to play right now, and I dedicate this song to you and to Aaron Russo, to Joe Bannister, and to anybody else out there who is not afraid to seek the truth. The song is called Show Me the Law, and I wrote this song exactly after I watched for the first time the documentary by Aaron Russo, Freedom to Fascism. And this is for you, my dear friend. I dedicate it to you. Okay? Thank you very much. And don't go away, guys, because we have more news coming on, and we're going through into the second hour. And you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340.
We know that the Federal Reserve is a private corporation. We know in 1913 you stole our nation. We know the 16th Amendment was never ratified. What are we waiting for? Let's stand up and fight. Show me the law, show me the law. We know that you're just a fraud. Show me the law that doesn't exist. This time we will resist. Show me the law, show me the law. The IRS has got to go. Show me the law, don't show me your guns. We're not afraid, we won't run. Like a parasite, we live off our lives. Mr. Aaron Russo, yes, he was right. Where in the Constitution did you ever read they can tax our labor till we bleed? Show me the law, show me the law. We know that you're just a fraud. Show me the law that doesn't exist. This time we will resist. Show me the law, show me the law. The IRS has got to go. Show me the law, don't show me your guns. We're not afraid, we won't run. Show me the law, show me the law. We know that you're just a fraud. Show me the law that doesn't exist. And this time we'll resist. Show me the law, show me the law. your guns. We're not afraid, we won't run.
And that was Show Me the Law. Music and lyrics by myself. I wrote that song, after I watched that documentary that I would like you watch too, please. You can also watch it for free on YouTube. It's called America From Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo. And guys, just to let you know, this show is an act of love, seriously. I'm doing this type of information, it is not a game. You talk about the IRS, you talk about truth, things that really they don't want you to know. I mean, I'm not saying that I may be killed tomorrow morning, but that's not even the point. The point that there are persecutions, prosecutions, harassments. You have no idea what can be happening. And I am aware of it. And I'm not a big shot. I'm a regular guy, okay? But at the same time, I really mean it. This is for me, it's a duty. Bringing this information to you after I learn what I think is true, after I find out the information that I found, I cannot keep it for myself. I need to share it with you. It is my duty as a new American. Before you start to get maybe, irritated, you think I'm just trying to bring fear or other things, just do your research. That's all I'm saying. At the same time, I'm here doing my best. And seriously, the show, it is for me an act of love. It doesn't really bring me anything. I'm not getting rich. I'm not getting paid. This is something I do as an act of love. My time here is free. All I'm asking, if you want to help me out, to keep doing, we have cost, okay? We have cost, website, streaming and things, everything. Just go to my website. And I don't even want you to donate. I don't want donations. I want that you help me out just purchasing and downloading any of my songs. With just 99 cents, for example, you can download this song, Show Me the Law, that I wrote as a message, as I wrote as a tool to spread this information, or at least to put the keywords out in the people's brain to start to do their own researches. Download Show Me the Law for 99 cents. And then I give you my blessing to put it on YouTube, to share with your friends, to do whatever you can to wake up your fellow Americans. That's all I'm saying. I'm doing my part. I hope you listeners can help me out doing your part. I'm not asking for much. If you can donate, I don't want donation. I want your support. And the best way you can do it, just go to my website, www.zanna.us. This is not the government. The government doesn't ask you, extorts from you. Like NPR. When you listen to NPR, I don't think it's free. They're stealing your tax dollar. Do you want it or not? That's so wrong. Think about it. Broadcasting station that pretty much uses your tax dollar for their political agenda. No, this is a free radio in every way. We are free on the internet, and I'm still free on K-Talks 1340 AM. And that's how I want to thank this station to give me the opportunity to broadcast my message. As I said, we may not agree many times on many issues, but the point is I have complete freedom here, and pretty much nobody tell me what I can say or not. We just comply with FCC rules. That's it. And I'm telling you, to talk about the IRS, the income tax, and if there is a law or not that you should pay the income tax, not very many stations would let you do that, especially going deep like we are doing here. This is not just some sort of, conversational in front of a cup of coffee, and let's just talk. No, we're talking about activism. We're talking about to try to take back this country, especially now in this new America with a K. I could disappear tomorrow morning. Seriously. You may have never heard from me anymore. Maybe many of you would say, great, thank you. Guess what? Tomorrow can happen to you too. Okay, you may disagree with me or not, that's fine. That's not the point. The point that we are living under fascistic regime. I told you before many times, and I'm never going to get tired to remind you, we're living under the National Defense Authorization Act and under the Patriot Act. Just those two laws, supposed to be now the law of the land. That's enough to let you know that we are living under tyranny. I could disappear, never hear from me anymore, and I'm aware. I'm doing this knowing exactly what I'm doing. I'm not a hero, I'm not a big shot, I'm a regular human being, but I have dignity. And the dignity is here that I cannot live in eternity thinking about my cowardice, because whatever I'm doing in this life is going to be pretty much reverberating in the infinite of my eternity. I cannot do this. So I need to here stand up with you, try to at least warn you. That's what I'm trying to say. And I would like to live in this life in liberty, in freedom, in peace. And if I'm going to die first, that's fine. But I hope who comes after me will have a chance to live again in the America that our founding fathers fought and died for. Okay? That's my point. That's all I'm saying. So, now, don't go away because we have an exciting second hour. This first hour was about freedom. I tried to bring you all this information about the income tax. Peymon was a great guest. I love him as a brother in freedom. And now the second hour is going to be guns, training. We need to be trained. We need to be law-abiding citizen who knows how to defend ourselves, our family, and our freedom. And I will bring you an incredible guest that pretty much will give you the best information about rifles. And then maybe I will talk a little bit about what I was talking last Sunday to continue the conversation about the shotgun.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Gianluca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network.